Yo, YouTube, this is saying Go Web Solutions, and today I got a new video for you guys. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about caching and how you can optimize your website to get 98% speed on all devices. All right, so like as you could see, like over here, like it's in Canada, so it's on like 83%, so it does depend on the server. That's something. And also as well, bear in mind, in the video I was making it on a temporary domain, so like just ignore that. You should be using the subdomain, okay, or like a domain. So the first thing we're going to be checking out is the advanced preset and the custom settings we're going to be adding. All right, this is like a really good score that you could get. You can get like around like 80% on mobile, and I just added in the advanced settings. Right, so right now we're going to be adding into the subdomain, basically the LiteSpeed servers. We're going to add the DNS used as a CNAME record. So as you can see, I'm adding in speed.ngo web solutions, and I'm just connecting in the CDN so I can get the QUIC Cloud Tiger CDN link. All right, so I'm just going to click enable CDN and give it a moment, and then I want to use CNAME, confirm choice. Right, and as you can see right now, the domain name itself is like a temporary domain. It should be a subdomain or a domain, and then you're gonna click finish setup. Just bear that in mind, but get the DNS server. All right, this is what we need basically. Right, so I'm just gonna add in. It's gonna look something like this, and gotta make sure that it's grayed out. All right, you gotta make sure it's grayed out. Also, we're gonna add in another record again, like I mentioned, for www.speed.ngowebsolutions.com. So it's basically the same thing, but just with the www at the top, and same thing grayed out. And also you can just add a comment if you'd like I added over here. So this is how it should look like at the end. It should save right now. So number one is just the name. As you can see, two CNAMEs, speed and then www.speed, and they're all going to the entire QUIC DNS, and they're also in the proxy status grayed out. So that is something. All right. All right, so after connecting the CDN, you gotta make sure you add in your server IP. Okay, you add it into the CDN, and you also add it into the LiteSpeed plugin. All right, so after doing that, just save settings. And right now, let's get into the caching settings themselves. All right, first of all, make sure to hit guest mode and then guest optimization. All right, you can turn these off if you want to, but I personally like to keep them on. All right, afterwards you're going to go into page optimization, and then over here into CSS Minify, CSS Combine, generate use CSS. All right, by the way, any of these, like, you should be doing them step by step. All right, because they can break the page. And most importantly, it's in the CSS Minify and the JavaScript Minify and JavaScript deferring. This is where like the problem's gonna start happening. All right, so I usually like using deferred. All right, and even if you read the description, let me zoom in for you. All right, so for CSS settings, let me just finish that. All right, loads CSS asynchronously, yes, and then inline CSS async lib, and then font display optimization to swap, and then save changes. This is for CSS settings. Right, for JavaScript settings, JavaScript Minify on, JavaScript Combine on, external and inline as well, and deferred. All right, so basically deferring until page is parsed or delaying. It's going to help you in the score, but the problem is with something like this is that it can break the page really easily. Right, so let's go to the page itself. Let's check out what it did do to the page. Right, so we can just purge it. And in our case, as you can see right now, it's a lot faster and it's not breaking anything. But assuming it was, all right, assuming it was breaking anything in the page, like there was like a contact form, like maybe this button. All right, so there's something that you could do. Just go into the documentation of LiteSpeed. There's something really awesome that you could do. You could just copy this link. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. So this is the link that you could see before the optimization, so you can just like add it over here, then maybe go into a private window, And then you can compare like the optimized website and the non-optimized website, you know what I mean? Just check out what are the things that are not working in the old website, you know? Like here's the old website without caching. As you can see, it's a little bit slow in loading. And if I take another private window and I just paste it, but I'm gonna remove this link and put it over here. Yeah, the HTTPS certificate is just like generating while we're doing this, so you can just ignore this. But as you can see, it's a lot faster, and as well as that, you can compare section by section. Like if you get any problems, like as you can see right now, we got no problems in this page, right? But we can go scroll down, still got nothing, still got nothing. But you're gonna start things breaking, maybe like differing from theme to theme, and assuming it does, or maybe in this theme I do not have this problem, but you will get this problem in different themes, you know? So what is gonna happen is, like for example, maybe this one, right? I think this one is broken, or does it not just have a featured image? I think just the hello world post does not have a feature there. So they don't really have anything breaking in this theme. As you can see, like the optimized is the same as the non-optimized, but of course the optimized is a lot better in speed, but there's nothing really breaking. But assuming there is in the JavaScript. So I'm gonna go into the optimized one, right? And then I'm just gonna go into Control-Shift-I and then into network. All right, I'm gonna reload the page just to check out all the assets. All right, just make sure you're selecting all. All right, and if you got problems in the CSS or the JavaScript, you can just like select the CSS that's in the like document, and then exclude that. All right, like let's say like you have a problem with this lightbox over here, or the swiper.minify.css. You can just go into the headers. You will find the location of the file itself. All right, you do not have to copy the version, right? Just copy until without the version, because it's going to update. This is basically like when you're creating a plugin and you're, you know, like enqueuing the assets for the plugin. So the version itself is just going to be different, you know what I mean? So you don't have to add in the version. Okay, so I just got the CSS. I can just go into tuning and then go into CSS excludes. All right, just 1 second, let me double check that. Yeah, it's in tuning CSS, and then CSS excludes. You can just add in the URL of the plugin itself. You don't have even to add the domain name, because in case you're like using a temporary domain like this, it will automatically like update itself to that, right? And this is gonna make the like this CSS file not be cached, you know what I mean? So it's not going to be optimized. All right. So that is for tuning, and tuning JavaScript is going to be the same basically. All right. You can also add it in guest mode. JavaScript excludes, URI excludes. This is like if there's something that's not not working in excluding over here. All right. And you can also add in includes if there is something that's not cached. So that is something else. All right. Afterwards, right, we talked about the CSS JavaScript. We talked about the tuning of CSS and tuning of JavaScript. We haven't talked about HTML. We can talk about HTML. So HTML, we're gonna minify it as well. Prefetch control, basically prefetch control, if that you have like something you want to load before even the page being loading, so like fonts or similar, you can pre-connect to this. Like you can pre-connect to Google Fonts, for example, right? You can check even the documentation, as you can see over here, from Mozilla Development Network, Developers Network, I think. And like it, even the same thing is just like it's pre-connecting just to increase performance, you know, but you're not going to pre-connect to everything, you know. It just depends on what you can pre-connect to, right? Like as you can see, like many third-party domains, like Google Fonts, for example, right? So we can go back over here. I'm sorry about the 1,000 tabs. Control-Shift-I, and then reload the page again. So let's say we want the fonts, all right? We can just go into all and check out where the fonts are, or you can just go into filter over here and search font, for example. So as you can see right now, we have this font, all right? So this is a fonts.google API. I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna go back into page optimization into DNS Preconnect, and also you can do DNS Prefetch. All right. So it's a little bit different, all right? Like DNS Prefetch and Preconnect, or Preconnect, like basically it goes a little bit further just to perform the handshake. So that's why I'm using it over here. Just make sure like, all right, you got the font, I got the font, that's good, you know? But over here, you can add in like stuff that's already on your website, you know, like you're not handshaking anything from an external website, okay? So can just save, and as you can see, all right, it can even be like automatically enable DNS prefetching for all URLs in the document, including images, CSS, and JavaScript, and so forth. So it can automatically do that for you, all right? But for the like external libraries, you can add it over here. So if you have like any external widget, like from a sales funnel, for example, or anything, you can use it over here as well to improve the performance. But bear in mind that embeds and everything can have problems as well, so just make sure of that. Load Google fonts asynchronously, remove WordPress emojis if you don't want that, remove no script tags, and if you don't have Google reCAPTCHA, you can add this to on, all right? But if you're using it, do not add it, okay? You can, I usually use the Cloudflare turnstile right now because the Google reCAPTCHA is like updating their terms and stuff, and it's pretty heavy, you know, so I usually just use Cloudflare turnstile. Okay, so that is for the HTML settings. Right now we have the media settings. So of course you're gonna lazy load the images. You're gonna give it a responsive placeholder. This is already on, you can keep it on if you'd like. Lazy load iframe, it depends if you have iframes or not. Like I mentioned, like embed code, and it can break it. So just make sure if it breaks it to turn that off. Or exclude it at least, you know what I mean? Exclude the file that is breaking. Or the link. So I'm just gonna save it, give it a little while. But just bear in mind something, when you're lazy loading items, right, this is something like regular, like in each and every website. Anything that's above the view fold, like anything that you could see over here, like when you first load the screen, like the initial loading, like this loading, right? Nothing else. Like I'm not talking about anything else below screen. I'm just talking about this part, you know, this section. And as you can see right now, like even the loading is a lot better, but like it had a little weird glitch. But anyways, I'm talking about this first section. This is the initial viewport, right? So anything that's in here, we don't want to lazy load. Actually, we want it to eager load, okay? And that what that means is if I go into Google and I just like eager load, lazy load, MDN, right? Eager load, Mozilla Developer Network. Let me search eager. So yeah, the load event fires when the eagerly loaded content has all been loaded. At that time, it's entirely possible, even likely, that there may be lazy loaded images or iframe within the visual viewport that haven't yet loaded. So basically, you're just giving priority to everything, all right? Like, you're just telling it, all right, this is above the viewport, so please just load it fast. And if it's below the viewport, then you can lazy load. You know what I mean? This is the very basic, like, how you can load images or assets on your website, you know? So, again, we're gonna go back into the settings of LiteSpeed, right? Page optimization and then media settings. So after you enable all of this to on, like the settings we discussed, just save it, and then we're gonna go into the VPI. And what the VPI is, it's basically viewport images. As you can see, when you lazy load, it will delay the loading of all images on page. So basically, this detects if it's like within the viewport or not. Okay, so if it's in the viewport, it's not gonna lazy load it. But if it is like outside of the viewport, it will not lazy. It will lazy load it, all right? But if it's within the viewport, it will not lazy load it. Okay, so let's just save changes. Again, if you want me to explain this again, I'm just gonna make it simple. Anything within the viewport, it shouldn't be lazy loaded, like initial viewport. But if it's anything after the viewport, definitely lazy load it. Okay, so right now let's take this, actually go into a regular Chrome tab. Okay, so the last time I tested this was 60, and by the way, we still haven't optimized the images, we haven't optimized a lot of things in the website. This is just using LiteSpeed. All right, so let's just check out what it has done. Has it actually increased performance before using LiteSpeed, or has it decreased performance? This is actually variable from website to website. Like, you can actually use a caching plugin and have really bad configuration settings, which is going to end up basically making the website slower. So it really depends on how you set up the settings for your website, you know what I mean? So let's just check out right now the performance score. All right, again, like I mentioned, it's a little bit better. It's not that much better. It should be a lot more better, but again, it's due to the fonts over here. So maybe we need to defer loading these fonts or something. Like, there is something that is making these fonts cause a lot of like loading time for the font display, you know what I mean? Also, a lot of rendering blocking requests. All right, this can be deferred as well with another plugin, right? And also as well the images delivery. So this is basically what you're gonna do. There's no really like secret way to actually like optimize the website. You can just like go into the presets and use any type of presets that's in LiteSpeed, but again, it depends from server to server and website to website. You know, like if you're using a heavy website, again, you can still need a lot more optimization than I just did. As you can see, like after all of the optimizations that we did over here, it just gave us like 3% or similar, you know what I mean? So it should be more, to be honest with you. But again, if there's settings that we forgot, we can check them. We can check them out. All right, so just make sure maybe in the object cache. So yeah, as you can see, the object cache is turned off. We can turn it on. Do not cache in logged in users. There is going to be a setting over here called cache in logged in users. Where is it? Yep, here it is. You can just turn it off. And cache mobile as well. As you can see, cache mobile wasn't even turned on, so that is something else. So you gotta play with it, you know, like, but you gotta understand what you're doing as well. You're not just like turning options on and off, you know, like read what it's actually saying, you know. Like if you have Redis on your server, like you can use Redis, you know. I don't have Redis on the server, like the extension exists, but I don't have the server itself or anything set up for Redis, so it's not gonna work. So that's why I'm using Memcache. Browser cache as well. So you got to make sure that the object cache, the browser cache, and the mobile optimization is turned on, okay? What else? HTTP and HTTPS compatibility. This is only if you have like an HTTP server, right? Like you installed the website on and you did all the optimization on, you know? So if you're having like problems with HTTP and HTTPS, you can use this one. WooCommerce. This is new, to be honest with you, but again, you can test that. So we're just gonna purge all. Right now, what I'm doing is that I'm optimizing the images in bulk. I'm just going into, I was actually gonna import the demo, but I thought like already like the images are already like loaded from the demo pages on Envato. So I'm gonna just get these images instead of resetting. And this is what I did. I just went into the network tab and I just got the images from the sources, you know what I mean, for all of the page. And I just kept downloading them basically. And I used Photosizer to optimize the images in bulk to WebP. And I use width until like 85% basically for the images. It will save me on all of the images on the page like around like 300 kilobytes, which is a lot if you think about it, like on mobile. And again, this is what I'm doing over here. And I'm just replacing all of the images on the website because again, like you can have HTTPS issues, or also like in the demo over here, it's loading from the Envato like links. It's not loading from the website links. So that's why I re-uploaded the images just to make sure. So again, like I mentioned, I'm just replacing the images over here. And right now I'm actually going to optimize the CSS. This is actually a really good step as well. So again, like I'm just gonna exclude the viewport assets that are at the top. So I'm just gonna exclude any CSS that's at the top, like for Slider Revolution and for this booking everything plugin, right? There's a problem with the booking plugin itself, like it's not showing on mobile. But again, like this is what I'm mentioning, like each and every website is gonna have its own quirks that you need to keep testing on with, you know what I mean? So I keep testing over here again, like I keep just changing the settings over here from deferred to delayed for the JavaScript. And most of like the performance issues I was getting because I was using the temporary domain. But again, like when it's starting like propagating the DNS, as you can see right now, I got like 71% performance, and it keeps on getting better. Even at the end of the video, we'll have an analysis when I added in the DNS correctly, what happened into the performance and how does like the server speed differ. All right, so over here I'm just again testing out, and again, as you could see, it's a little bit unstable because like there were errors and stuff. So again, if you have any issues with that, you can just go back to the advanced settings like I did over here, and also as well keep the customized setting for like exclude and include and all that. It's still gonna be saved, you know. You can remove that if it's causing problems. So again, like the performance was fluctuating, but after a purge all and just making sure that the DNS was connected correctly, I was actually able to get the page until like 91% speed on GTMetrix. Actually, it was like 98 on Page Speed Insights. And over here, as you can see in Lighthouse general mode, it's basically 81 on mobile. And I'm using a US server and I'm in Egypt, so that's pretty good because the latency is a little bit high. Again, bear that in mind. Like the server locations and Lighthouse reports differ a lot. So if you're like in the US, test out Lighthouse in the US. Try to use a VPN or something like GTMetrix or Page Speed Insights, all right? As you can see, this is like the 90%, and over here for like the final page speed scores, first test I do is like without the clear storage and without the JavaScript sampling, so I get like 100% because it's optimal conditions. Basically, it's like if you use anything with this, it's probably gonna get you 100% if it's a little bit optimized. Anyways, again, let's go to the second test, which is like suboptimal conditions or regular conditions, which we're gonna get like around 80%, 77%. If I go into GTmetrix and test out in Canada, and also I'm actually gonna use the advanced Dev Throttling. The advanced Dev Throttling is gonna give you a lot of more information, as we're just like passing out the test to Lighthouse and to GTmetrix. As you can see, it's giving 48% performance and more details than the like the other like options. All right. Over here, GTmetrix and page speed is going to give you a lot more analysis. I love GTmetrix because you can give a report and give like a PDF to somebody at work or your colleague, like please fix these issues and why they're happening. You can also test out with other like user agents, and as you can see, it's just giving me like top issues, the top blocking time, total page size, total page requests. There's a lot, and basically like how many milliseconds the assets are loaded in, what's taking a lot to load in, like these examples over here. So it is like very extensive, very awesome. So as you can see over here, like in this example, the total page load time is 1.4 seconds and the initial load time is 1.2 seconds. So it's pretty good, it's not bad, but we want to get until like that 1 second mark, or even if less if possible. But again, 83% in Canada, and the server itself is in US. It's not bad, but you can get better scores if you test out in the US as well. So just make sure that your server is on like the country basically you're serving the website to, you know. On page speed insights, a little bit different. It's kind of like Lighthouse. It's not like GTMetrix a little bit. It's definitely more like analysis over here in GTMetrix, but in web page speed insights, like over here, there's just showing you like what user agent it used, what are the problems that it's causing, what are the assets that you can basically optimize in image delivery, just like a normal Lighthouse score, you know. What can be optimized basically, and what do I use this for? I usually use it for like accessibility scores and also as well like additional speed tests. So it's still a good useful tool. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you like the video, please comment, like, and subscribe. This was Ango Web Solutions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.